we're saying all unregistered students must register.
We are in the midst of a revolution, a powerful revolution, and that's something Wits was never prepared for.
Till every unregistered student is actually...
So we want all students to be registered immediately.
We sleep here in the office, not alone, not even one night alone. We sleep here with many comrades who are in solidarity. Others are fasting, breaking fast at midnight. Others are just coming just to sleep. Others are here to keep us company the whole day. If you come here during the day, you will see a campaign of many other students who are not even sleeping here, who are just running and picketing a campaign and all of those things, galvanizing students. We have people that have pledged their support, lecturers, workers, and these are all registered and unregistered students, and workers are a different class altogether. They all support what we are doing because they understand it's not about us, it's about everyone else. We're saying we're not going to eat until every unregistered student is registered. We are against a policy that is exclusionary. See and management go and sit without the affected students who are on strike. Before the strike, there was a political apathy. There was nothing happening. There was no activism whatsoever. We begin a strike, we see the rise of the SRC and more communication, at least, not to us, but more communication even to society from management. Then the SRC speaks to us and says, we supported the strike and we are happy about that, but we also understand their conditions. Many of them are undergrads or first time just graduating. So there are always, there's a tight grip around them that you will lose your degree. They've suspended activists before in this university. So you have a vivid picture of what happens when you go against the system. You'll be suspended. You will not be able to get your degree anytime soon, and you have a family that expects you to bring the paper at home. So our SLC, we don't blame them. Many really are under that duress. The agreement that they came with from them is that yesterday was the last day of registration, which was the 21st of February, Friday. They agreed to extend the registration to the 25th, which is Tuesday. Now tell me, what can you do that you could not do since last year up to the 21st that you can do from Monday to Tuesday? What can you do? Is that a real extension? I don't think our comrades in the SRC wanted that, but we understand their position. We also got another concession they're speaking about that for undergrads who are owing 150 now can register. Before this concession of 150, it was that when you're under 120, you can register. Now, but you sign a AOT. AOT is acknowledgement of debts, all of that. Now tell me, what is the difference between 120 and 150 to a poor person who doesn't have money? Secondly, what happens to the rest of the students in the undergrad? In fact, we have a problem that is only for undergrad. But what happens to a student who owes 200 and more? Those are not taboo. It fits to all those amounts. Fees are exorbitant. And we can't go back to segregation laws where we have education for the poor Africans and we have education for the affluent. In this dispensation, you're expecting everyone to get equal opportunity. So an argument that what are you doing at Wits being poor, it's really flawed. We can't entertain that. But for the university to say people who owe, undergrads who owe less than 150 can register, where do you throw away these young people who owe more than 150? Where is that dustbin? And the poor will naturally owe more than 150, and I can tell you the reasons why. it's a residence, it's a place to eat. Poor people don't have money every month to buy food, and you can't study if you can't eat, if you're not eating. We have these books we tried reading and we have gotten nowhere because we can't focus.
We're hungry.
They can't focus. So poor people can't study when they're not eating. So you have to apply for dining hall. Dining hall charges into your fees. And dining hall is the most progressive thing you have in this university. But your fees go up. The residents and the residence fees, dining hall, those three things, they will shoot up your fees. And you have no choice when you are poor not to study, not to eat at the dining hall. So you are purging all those people out of the system. Where must a person without an undergrad go now? Where will they work? What will they do? Maybe the last 3 years or 2 years of their study was a waste. That is what you are saying. They go on to say that they've made a concession that that when you're approved by the SRC hardship and Kuboya Tuke Legacy Fund, SRC, you can register provided you can top up the outstanding amount. Again, I think my colleague spoke about this. Well, how can you top up the outstanding amount when you're proving that you're poor? There are people who can't come back and they owe just a mere, to us is a lot, but in society, a mere 20,000, they can't come back, they're stuck. There was a student here who visited us and said he needs a residence. He owes, he's on his 4th year. I think he was studying engineering. He's in his 4th year. And he's been using NSFAS and all of those things, but he still owes the university 39,000. That student was given a resident, and he says, no, but this is my last year, I can't afford to add 70,000 on top. I need a place to sleep, where can I sleep? And you're wondering, this humiliation that we go through as black people, just he had to choose between having a place to sleep, being able to study, perhaps also adding dining hall, so it won't be 70,000, it will go up to 100 and something if he adds dining hall, or sleeping toilets here and libraries and labs, and see to finish what to eat and study under those conditions and expected to perform. Ours, it's like, it's extreme, it speaks to, let's see if you can register. It's like it's a game show for black people. It's a competition against the system. With can you register when you put these obstacles against you? So they're talking about topping up fees, and that is not feasible. That has seen many people getting into trouble. I want to speak about the next one, which is yes, the postgrad allocation. Now, if you listen to the VC at the portfolio parliament, at the portfolio committee on higher education in parliament, he says that he and our SRC, unfortunately, agreed that they're going to prioritize undergrads who are doing first and second year and so on. Now that we have raised this thing and we're going through hunger strike and we're galvanizing the space, they now agreed on raising funds. At least they even said explicitly at least 2 million for postgrads, and those postgrads would be just honors students. Let's start with 2 million. 2 million can cover just, if we are speaking about how they spread the money, they've been speaking about 60,000. 2 million will cover about 33,000 people. 33 people, if I'm not mistaken. And that's just one class. And a very small class for that matter, if you're speaking about 33 people. Even at the level of honors, you have not made any dent when you've raised that little money. And where will they raise this money between Friday and Tuesday? Unless it's sitting somewhere and they didn't want to use it for students. But that's just a smoke, that's just pulling a wool over our heads. And if you are also prioritizing just honors, what about masters? What about people who are doing PGD, postgraduate diplomas? What about people who are doing postgrad NLP? Which dustbin do you throw these people in? So the university behaves as if it prioritizes certain people over others. Still exclusionary policy. So we don't agree with this thing, and we feel sorry for our SRC because really they're young and they're undergraduates in the main. They don't realize that they represent even PhD students. Theirs is not about undergrads. So that's the problem, and it's a problem because we too have not stood for those positions of SRC and so on. We left it to them, but we forget we're all here at the university as postgrads and so on. But what we're about is not just postgrad, it's about every student being able to register regardless of their historic debt. Our Vice Chancellor is a brother from Katlehong. He was not born a Vice Chancellor. He was poor like us. Someone gave him an opportunity to study up to PhD. He's an academic before he's a Vice Chancellor. So he's been in the system. The system is what puts bread in his table. We appeal also to him not to forget who he is, where he was yesterday, who gave him the opportunity. But we say to him, it is not sustainable to have a situation where every time the system just picks one or two of us and makes them a shining beacon. Everyone must aspire to be like you. Why not open the garage door and let all the black people enter? Change the economy, change the patterns of ownership of the means of production. Allow black people to occupy the highest form of employment. We'll have a different life. Otherwise, this thing of a cycle of poverty continuing and not being cut is really leading to an Arab Spring. Why not? You can patch us. Me and Fezio, you can throw us away. We will continue with this thing, and we will make sure that society understands that education is a right, not a privilege. Maybe also political parties must be called to order, because they too speak about this thing, that education is a right and not a privilege. When do they implement it? Why is it a factor that some of us have 2 degrees? Should we leave this place not having mastered what we are here to study? That is why even professionally, when they speak about black people, there's always a doubt about them. The corrupt, the controversial, because we don't allow black people to master their craft, to go there. If I am Dr. Siviwe, you will not be able to doubt the knowledge that I'm proffering to society. Why don't you allow us the same opportunity? The fact that we also have to study until we agree. Yes, studying is a lifelong commitment. Yes, and our cook in terms of education. But the fact that black people have to go, try life, come back, study, because it's the only thing that can push you forward, it's difficult. We went to schools where white people just left matric and flourished. And black people have to go through this. You can come to this university. It's black people in the majority who are trying to study. So our conditions are not the same, because black people don't own the means of production. All we have is education. At least can allow us to have that. If we're not going to have everything else, allow us to have education to survive. I think, in having said that, we want to thank you for the initiative you are bringing to us. The primary goal is that people must be in class. So we'll welcome any form of assistance in funding students to go to class. But we continue to fix a structural problem to say the university cannot block people structurally and patch them, because it is not sustainable to raise funds every year. We've seen that. The Research Council here at Wits was able to make a dent in terms of funding. This year it can't, it doesn't have that powers. They are clipped, they say they don't have money and all of that. But you can see it's a bit of a political decision. Because the Vice Chancellor says our focus is on undergrad. So that means there's a deliberate patching of postgrads and so on. And these are African poor students. So we thank you, we welcome your initiative and continue doing that, and also raising awareness to the rest of society that this is the most important thing that will curb crime, that will build our economy, that will allow us to be innovative. Here in this space, there are people who are doing science, engineering, and all of that. If they are not employed, they can create employment when they have the necessary skills. So having organizations like yourself helps us, because you have the ear of people we don't have access to. So we thank you. The other thing is that, just before I forget, in Parliament, the Vice Chancellor speaks of invisible money. So the university has invisible money. He says that during load shedding, they took out of the blue, unexpected, they took out 200 million to keep up with diesel demands. You know, buying diesel to keep the lights on and so on. If you can do that for diesel and keeping the lights on, why can't you do that for the most important stakeholder that makes the university, students? It shows the priorities. Because I think we can still continue during the day and study even if we don't have lights. But if you send that student home, their life changes forever. So if you have 200 million that you used unexpectedly, that means you can use that because it didn't say it's limited. That piggy bank, it didn't say it's limited to 200 million. It means that there is other funds that you can use without even going to government to clear student debt. But they don't care. They don't care about this important stakeholder. So you must understand, we're not even asking for the impossible. The university itself can afford. If you can follow the people that donate in the university, they donate millions and millions of rands. Sometimes as far as 100 million. Where is that money going? We have endowment funds. We have money that sits with faculties, deans and all of that. Where is that money? Why can it not assist with students? Why does it have to cherry pick students? So that is the what you are saying. If they didn't have money, if maybe we were talking about a former black university that doesn't have money, government can give it money, because also government bails out ESCOM, railway, other SOEs, SAE, but it has never been asked to bail out student debt. It can do that because this is a public institution. It's not a profit-making machine. It doesn't belong to individuals. So government can contribute to bail out student debt and student continue study. So what we are asking for is not far-fetched. We're asking for structural changes 30 years later into democracy, we're asking for basic things. It's so disheartening, but we will not stop. We thank you.
I just want to add, there's something that we forgot. I think there's an area of emphasis that we need to make here. And that is in these institutions, we see how capital reproduces itself. And what has happened now, a lot of the times people speak about white capital, white man capital. But now we find that in these spaces of power, communists were referred to our Vice Chancellor being from Kazahor. There's no way, for instance, a man from Kazahor could have gotten a PhD without financial assistance. There are organizations, there are institutions that helped him to get to that PhD. But now what we find in these institutions is that they actually use black people to reinforce the system. Now it's no longer a white man or a white woman that's sitting in that place of power to marginalize, to exclude, and to oppress us. It's other black people. And it shows us how the dynamics are changing.
Yeah.
We can no longer just say, yes, black people, are excluded and they're oppressed. We can't not say that. But there's another dynamic now. We can't just speak about white monopoly capital. There are black people that are occupying these spaces. And those are one of the mechanisms in which capital reproduces itself. But also, I mentioned institutional autonomy. I think this thing has to be fought because the violence that students, comrades mentioned student apathy, the violence that students experience in institutions of higher learning cannot be forgotten. It's something that has to be looked into. For instance, at Wits University, students start a protest. As soon as they start marching to concourse, concourse is the main building. As soon as they start marching to concourse to make their voices heard in spaces of power, those areas are barricaded. Those barricades were not always there. So now there's literally a violent way to close off the voice of students. But it doesn't end there. As soon as there is a sign that students are gathering, they're organizing themselves, we see private security on campus, literally big men in black uniform on campus. We see our campus control boosted, there's more of them. And we see police on campus. So students can't even gather to voice out their frustrations. And remember, these are black students. I mean, I've probably seen one or two students of other races, or let me say white students participating in protest in solidarity, but it's black bodies that are in the front lines. And then further to that, as soon as students, I've never seen a situation where you protest, you haven't been through a disciplinary process, but already you have a suspension letter. And those are the things that have led to student apathy, because students are scared. The university, and might I add, Capital is making a concerted effort to depoliticize students in institutions of higher learning. At Wits University, they go to the extent where there are housecom members. Housecom is house committee. So in all the residences, there are housecoms. They say as soon as we're elected, we have to sign, I don't know what it is, a contract or whatever. They have to sign something. And one of the things they agree to that, we will not politicize residents in our race. We will not teach them political songs. Now tell me, what type of future leaders are we creating for this country? Because literally a lot of people will say that they got conscientized and politicized in institutions of higher learning.
Yes.
Now we are creating a cohort of future leaders that are so detached from the realities. And those are the people that have to lead in key areas of this country. And that's why we're saying that part of the reason why we are saying institutional autonomy must be looked into is because we are seeing a sort of apartheid style of running of these institutions. Not long ago, they started putting up signs in offices that are meant to assist students. Uguti, it's a no-go area. The last time I heard of no-go areas was in apartheid. So there's an apartheid style of running the institution. It's violent, it's aggressive, and it's part of the reason why we have struggled to work hand in hand with the SRC, because from our analysis, they've been trying to work with management, but in them working with management in turn suppresses them and sort of turns them into prefects, high school prefects. You can't be making big decisions in a university as a SRC and you are treated as a high school prefect. And that's why we say we understand them, because they're trying to fight for students, but they're also trying to protect themselves because they know how aggressive the system is. And those are things that need to be looked into, because all of these things, they tie into each other. Because year after year, we see the system becoming more exclusionary and more aggressive. I mean, today it's worse than it was 10 years ago at Wits. And funny enough, 10 years ago, it was Fees Must Fall, and Fees Must Fall was fighting for free education. It was fighting for the insourcing of outsourced workers. But we find that the realities on the ground are much more cruel than they were 10 years ago. So yes, that's our input. Thank you. Thank you again for coming.
Just a small thing. They have also introduced this year a new thing, technology, drones.
Yes.
Now when you walk, there's a drone hovering over your head. So trust me, we're in Gaza. We're operating in conditions like Gaza now. Drones.
Yes.
Somebody told me that they're drones.
No,
Yeah. When you walk, start walking, this thing follows you, and it makes sure that you know
and it
that is
comes
following
down,
you.
It comes down and you realize that how this thing
No,
is
but this is not the
actually
place for criminals.
This is Gaza, Chief. It's not watching crime. It's watching activists.
I
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
What are you talking
What
about?
are you saying?
Please.
It means it's even recording. Actually,
Please.
no, but I mean, evaluate the
It has
privacy.
a camera.
Please.
It has a camera.
Yeah. It doesn't camera. I mean, they can't.
It's happening.
So actually, Comrade Siviwe, it's actually the reason why we chose this form of protest, because everyone asks, why did you choose such a radical form of protest?
Instead of going out there.
Yes, it was the only way that we could send a strong message to the government and to the institution of what's happening. But because if we go there, we knew we were going to lose. We knew if we go out and we galvanize and we protest, we will lose. This form of protest is violent on our bodies. But it also protects us because they haven't been able to write letters to us to suspend us, because we're not violating anything, we're not damaging any property. But it's also a reflection of how violent the system is. Even the fact that we are on day 9, we haven't eaten in 9 days, they haven't said anything. The other day I was almost collapsing and an ambulance came for me. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, comrades, we couldn't even speak. because he was developing ulcers. We are surviving on this. The reason we can speak to you properly today, this is glucose. We're taking this so that at least our bodies, our bodies light up and we can properly engage and be of sound mind, because we were also starting to experience memory loss and concentration. We can't have, by day 6 and 7, we couldn't hold conversations, and our comrades intervened. Yes.
But more than that, we are appealing to the legal people out there to look into the securitization of this campus. Yes, I don't think, and I'm not an expert, although I'm studying law, I'm not an expert on this thing, but I don't think it's legal to have drones hovering over our heads, invading our privacy. Yeah, something must be done about this thing.
It's about your privacy.
Yes. Secondly, also human rights. Where is the Human Rights Commission? Perhaps our people must go and open a case on our behalf with the Human Rights Commission, because we can't embark on the hunger strike, and morally, so a public institution cannot engage us directly. It says, the spokesperson says it's just 2 people on the hunger strike, so 2 people's lives doesn't matter. Where is that thing of we have a police in this country? That's why we don't have a death penalty. We have that case that of S versus Mukwanyane. Yes, it speaks to that, the right to life. And the Human Rights Commission is quiet. It will speak if something happens in Soweto or anywhere in the township where people are defending themselves. But when it has to defend us, the people, it's quiet. Yes, so we cannot be happy with the Human Rights Commission, and we're asking you to challenge it, to intervene in this space. Also, free education is a human rights issue. Why is it quiet? Why is it choosing cases and leaving others away? So we're asking you to look into that. But we thank everyone, every organization that has pledged support and solidarity. Every individual that comes and sleep here, that has bought us water, that also, even our first ambulance, we didn't even know that we needed that type of attention.
We didn't even know an ambulance is coming.
They understand. Congress just took it to themselves because they saw.
They was realizing that
Again, they're watching us. We can't see ourselves.
While with them every day, we're beginning to disengage from reality. While with them, they called the ambulance. Campus control also came later to assist us and offer their assistance. Not campus control.
Campus health.
Campus control is the enemy. Campus health came and offered their assistance to at least keep us alive with.
The university doesn't give us accurate numbers. The numbers change because when we started the hunger strike, the university, through its spokesperson, said 95% of students are registered, which doesn't make sense because they said they've reached capacity with 37,000 students, but Wits can take up to 45,000 students. Last year we had 45,000 students registered at Wits. So then we realized that the numbers, they aren't honest about the numbers. In Parliament, the SRC president said that there are still 4,000 students that aren't registered. And then someone from the executive said that, I don't know, in that week, 8,000 students had registered. So you see, there's a play of numbers, and we don't know what the exact number is. But I mean, looking at the list that we saw yesterday from the PGA, I think we can say there are about 1,000 or more of postgrads. It's the Postgrad Association. There are about 1,000 probably or more of postgrads that that are unregistered. But yeah.
But also, let's make it clear. Those that are registered in the Postgrad Association are those that are aware of the Postgrad Association.
Yes.
So we can't. That's why we're fixing a structural thing.
Yes.
Because you just have to have the university saying everyone can come and register. You will see students come. But to try to count one by one will defeat the purpose, because it's access to information. Now tell me about someone who doesn't have access to internet, who doesn't know about Postgrad Association. They can go and try to find funds which are non-existent. So they're not captured, they're lost in the system. People who come to Wits come from different backgrounds, and that's why the issue of numbers is very difficult, because the university is not honest. They use it to shield themselves. Yes. We are fighting a structural thing. We're saying fix the policy, open the door for people to come and register, and people will come. And we're saying one student too many. Even if it was one student not registered, I think we'd do the same thing. Because where must that student go? So it's one student too many. That's our approach to this thing. And if there was, maybe let's say the university was honest, saying that 95% is registered, then that means the 5% is very small.
It's very small.
They could open this thing. They can pay for
Talking
this thing.
1,000 people, I mean, they can easily say, go to class.
Yes, there was a view that we go to concourse, which is the most strategic space, where the main, where the VC's office is. The problem with that, they would have carried us nicely out. The campus security, they don't.
And then take you.
Yes, they don't. That thing would have ended in 2 minutes. We came to our offices, which is the SRC, you know, and now they can't touch us here. But also, we're saying the message we're communicating is that to say students must go home and cut their education, you're sentencing them to death. So we will not die in the village, in the townships. We will die here in front of you to satisfy you that you've done your job well, to kill a student. So we're dying on behalf of all the dying students in the village and in the townships. That is the symbolizing of this type of act. Glucose and stuff. So it shows that there are people who sympathize with this thing and want to thank them and want them to continue doing that. So thank you, everyone. Yes.